Hey everybody, how are you guys doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. You do a great job for a wonderful cause. Well, yeah, I guess thoughts on abortion. It's a woman's body, her choice. Stop trying to force people to give birth. Hey man, hope you're well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty happy today. Most days I'm happy. Got any plans for the live today? No. I would like to keep it science focused. You know? Thoughts on the fine-tuning of the universe. What fine-tuning? So, yeah, it's easy to look around and go, wow, look how perfect everything is. The Earth and the Sun, it's perfect distance. The Moon, but how are you gauging whether or not our position in the universe is somehow special, is somehow designed to be this way for a purpose? How are you determining this? Because to me, it's like there's no way of knowing. There's no way of distinguishing a fine-tuned universe versus a non-fine-tuned universe where we just we happen to be this particular way, just like many other planets are. Or let's say this universe has certain properties. Well, how about other universes out there? There could be multiverse with other laws of physics, and we just happen to be in the one that allows life to exist. So to me, it's like there's no way of knowing if there's fine-tuning. And if there is fine-tuning, well, why must it be some conscious being behind it? Why can't the fine-tuning of the universe be a natural thing? Some quantum mechanical thing that we don't understand yet. Why can't that be the answer? Why must it be magic? Magic wizard. So the fine-tuning is one of the worst arguments you can use for a god. The world's population is now 8 billion. Yes, 8 billion people. 8 billion people. I mean, that number seems big, but it's really not that big. It's really not that many people. The Earth is a big place. Earth is a big place, and the entire population of the entire Earth could fit in like a city. If everybody in the planet stood shoulder to shoulder, we'd all fit within one city. There's not that many people. Even if everybody had an acre of land, we'd fit in a place like the size of like Texas. So it's like we're not that big. There's not that many people. Where did life start? The oceans. Water. Water has the right conditions. So in order to start life, you need a lack of oxygen. Oxygen is not good for life. Oxygen is toxic for early life. You need iron. You need UV radiation from the sun. You can't have oxygen in the atmosphere. You need certain types of lipids and certain types of amino acids, nucleic acids. And the only condition, and heat, energy. You need a lot of heat. So you need a bunch of these ingredients in order to make life happen. And the early oceans where there were hydrothermal vents or just warmer oceans or ponds was likely the place where life started on Earth. But it's not happening anymore because the conditions are vastly different. You can't, on current day Earth, you cannot start life again. Abiogenesis can only happen one time under certain conditions. So that's why we don't see life just starting again and again. Very specific conditions had to happen. The multiverse is hypothetical. Yeah, God is not even a theory. God is not even hypothetical. God is a imaginary guess. Multiverse has evidence likely has evidence that supports it. It's a very, very scientifically allowable idea. God is not at all. So, do I believe in overpopulation? Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that happens, but it's not the concern. The main concern is resource management. The Earth can support 10 billion people, which is fine. What matters is, how do you get resources to people? How do you make people have a good quality of life? If you have enough resources, the Earth can sustain 20 billion people. But we don't know how to manage our resources correctly. We're not efficient in the way we do energy, in the way we do water, farming. We are not efficient. We need more efficiency. So, number one. Number two, population, although it is increasing, the rate of increase is slowing down. Right? So yes, population is increasing, but it's not getting as higher as it used to be. People are having less babies. So although the population will increase for the next 50 years, it will reach a peak where people are not having enough babies to sustain the population. It's going to eventually decrease again. By about 2060, 2070, population is going to decrease. So this is a real problem. This is a real problem. If you want to sustain an economy, you have to have people that are, you have to have a population that's sustained. And another thing is, people are going to get older. People are living longer lives. They're living it to their 80s now, which means that there's less young people to do the work. There's more older people and there's less and less younger people. This is not good. So to me, when you talk about overpopulation, it's like, no, it's not the population that's the issue. We're not overpopulated. We're actually underpopulated right now. But it's only the illusion of overpopulation because we are not efficient in our resource management. We're not efficient. That's the real problem. "97% of human body consists of stardust." Yeah, stardust is what we're made of. Evolution theory is a theory, not a fact. Nope, evolution's a fact. So there is no such thing as a theory of evolution. That's not a real thing. It's actually called theory of evolution via natural selection. Natural selection is the theory, not evolution. Evolution's a fact. It really happens in our DNA. It's a biological process that happens in our DNA. We know that evolution's a fact because we can see it happening in fossils, in our DNA, in labs. So a theory in science, by the way, it's not like this some random guy's idea. In science, the theory is a well-based explanation with tons of evidence behind it. So much evidence that is considered fact. Most scientists, science considers evolution a fact because there's so much evidence behind it. Natural selection is a theory, but scientists consider it fact because it really happens. There's a lot of evidence that supports this idea. So just simply saying, well, evolution is just a theory, it only reveals how illiterate you are in how science works. A theory is not just a guy's idea. It's an explanation for the observation. So vastly different things when you're using the term, casually versus using it scientifically. Vastly different uses. Gravity levels no less powerful, no more powerful proves there is perfect creator. No, it only shows us that there is a law of gravity. Sure, there's certain parameters in which gravity exists that could be different hypothetically. But so what? Just because there could be different parameters for gravity or other laws of nature, it doesn't mean that our universe is special. Maybe there are other universes where the laws of gravity are different. And in those universes, there are no people. You don't have planets formed because there's not enough gravity. So if you were in that universe, you'd be saying, well, look how finely tuned we are for, clumps of matter just floating around. That's what you would say in that universe, right? Is there any universe where you wouldn't say it's finely tuned? How do you distinguish a non-finely tuned universe versus a finely tuned one? How do you tell the difference? You can't, because we don't have another universe to compare this one to. We can't sit there and go, yeah, this one's better than this one. What does that even mean? So, just because we live on this earth, where we happen to survive, right? The earth is not perfect for us, right? We can't live on most of the surface. We also are struggling to survive. Every day is a struggle. So, to me, that shows us that we are barely surviving here. And if you look at the Earth's history, look at the extinctions. There's 6 mass extinctions. 99% of all life that has ever existed on Earth is now dead. They're extinct, and they're never coming back. So to me, it's like, yeah, survive. Just because it's not that we're perfect for the Earth, it's that we happen to survive on this Earth, and we made it, and that's why we're here talking about it. If we didn't make it, we'd be dead. So it's like, yeah, of course we are here because we survived. That's it. It's not that the Earth is perfect for us, but it just so happened to be that we survived. That's it. Again, you can't say that this is perfect. Because if you're saying it's perfect for humans, well, how about coronavirus and all these diseases and all the bad things that happen? How about people that get shot or people that starve to death and go hungry or born with genetic diseases? How could you call that perfect? To me, it seems like we live in a universe that is guided by these laws of nature, which are just this way. There's no reason behind them. And if there is a reason, if there's a God that made the laws of nature, well then how do you explain that God? How do you explain God's laws? Because clearly God would have to, if there is a God, if there's somebody deciding how the laws of nature are, what decides God's laws? Clearly God operates under certain parameters as well, right? So what decided that? Who finally tuned God? So simply sitting there and saying, well, this is finely tuned by God, it doesn't answer anything about anything. It's not an answer. It's a cop-out. You have no evidence that this is a finely tuned universe at all. Weak-minded. Okay, how am I weak-minded? Please explain to us. That God is the explanation. That's your opinion. Okay, God is not an explanation for anything. God is not a theory. God is not a hypothesis. Because those things are rigorous. They're rigorously defined, and they're also verifiable. They're falsifiable. God is not falsifiable. God is an empty idea, an empty assertion. that magic man with wand made everything. That's not a theory. That's not an explanation. Okay, an explanation is something that actually explains what we observe with the evidence. It's testable. We can make predictions with it. It has predictive power. That's not what God is. God is not even a hypothesis, let alone a theory, let alone an explanation. So stop pretending as if you have an explanation when you don't. You don't have an explanation. How do you know what God is? I don't know what God is. You pretend you do. You pretend that God is this magic man that has a personality like you and me. It's so funny. It's very coincidental to me, very peculiar to me, how God has almost every personality that humans do. It gets angry, it gets jealous, it gets sad, it gets happy. It wants worship. It wants to be praised. It pretends he's powerful. He pretends he's knowledgeable. He acts like a father. He cares what you do in bed. He cares what you do anywhere. He cares how many times you pray. It sounds like a guy to me. It sounds like a person to me. And that's purely imaginary. That's what we do as humans. We invent things in our minds to make us feel better, and God is that. God is the thing that makes us feel good about our existence. We all want to be loved. And what does God tell? What do you think that God gives us? Love, right? It's a human fabricated emotion. That's what God is. Don't know your story, but I can see you're hurt. No, I'm not hurt. I'm perfectly happy in my life. It's very insulting that people would actually tell me this, that somehow I'm upset or hurt, or I'm not hurt. I'm very happy. And if I was hurt, first of all, there's nothing wrong with being hurt. Second of all, just because I'm hurt doesn't mean that God is real, right? Like, I don't understand your thought process here, right? Just because I'm sad, which I'm not, but even if I was sad, it doesn't mean God is real. I think what it means is that you can't fathom a world where there isn't a magic man. You can't fathom it. So you have a hard time dealing with somebody like me who is stinging you with information, and you feel like you're threatened. You feel like someone's attacking you, but I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you. I'm simply attacking your belief, because your belief is nonsense. I'm going to be honest. It is nonsense because you have no evidence of it. So, yeah, if it stings you, fine. I mean, I don't get upset when people... It might be upsetting at first, but don't take it personally, because religion's not a person. You are not a religion. You are a person, and you just happen to believe in a religion. Don't make it your own. It's not you. You are not a religion. Humans can't help but personify everything. Exactly. That's all we've done. That's how we tell stories. We personify things. Because it's why? Because it's easy for us to do. It's intuitive for us. It's something that we have evolved to do. We personify things. It helps us feel comfortable about our place in the cosmos. If I sat here and told everybody, oh yeah, you're just stardust, we don't mean anything in the vastness of space, it feels bad. It feels upsetting at first. But part of becoming an atheist is also realizing that you have to come to grips with reality. If you bask in this delusion for too long, it feels like I call it the God goggles, right? It's like all you can do is see the world through the lens of a believer, and everything you see becomes God to you. You know, it's like a schizophrenic person, who everything they see is like their voices in their head. It's very similar to that, where you can no longer determine what's real versus what's fake. You know? So maybe if you take off those God goggles for a second, you'd realize that maybe there's another way of viewing the world. Maybe it's not just all about this magic man that gives us his purpose. I don't need that for purpose. I can make my own purpose. You know, I don't need a magic man to be happy. I can be happy on my own terms. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be breathing. I'm happy to be learning. I'm happy to be working. I'm happy to be loving. You know, those on their own make me happy. And I don't need somebody out there to give me my purpose or give me my happiness. I can make it my own. And that is more powerful to me. That is more amazing to me than any religion out there. Any religion, any spirituality. It's all nonsense. To me, it's not worth it. Because when you face reality head on, you can't describe how amazing, how empowering it is to face reality and be open to any idea, yet realize that you can be happy just existing and being a real thing. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I can see why you didn't last in the debate with VOR. Smug, insulting, arrogant. Who's the arrogant one here? I don't think it's me. I don't claim to know everything. But you do. You believe in God. You are Christian, which means you believe that everything that happens around us is because of God. If I asked you, where does the universe come from? You would say God. If I asked you, where do humans come from? You would say God did it. If I asked you, where does the earth come from? You would say God did it. If I asked you, where does morality come from? You would say God. If I asked you, where does logic come from? You would say God. If I asked you any question, where does this come from or how does this work? You would say God, 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 God. Every single time. That's arrogance to me. That's the epitome of arrogance, to pretend as if you know everything, especially because you believe in a book. Because the only thing you have to show for that is a book written by ancient barbarians 2,000 years ago. Especially on top of that, knowing that those stories in the book are nonsense. We've debunked the Bible. 1,000 years ago, it's been debunked. So, I think you're being the arrogant one here when you pretend to know things you don't in exchange for feeling good. That's arrogance to me. Whereas me, I'm open to anything. I'm open to any possibilities. I don't claim to know everything. There's many things. In fact, most of the universe is mysterious. And I'll happily bask in that mystery. But the second you sit there and go, yeah, I know it. I know the mystery. It's all God. Is the moment you lose all sense of rationality. It's the moment you lose any compass, any sense of guidance as to where we find answers. Because now, if I asked you if I asked you how does string theory work, you would say God. Well, no. What even is a God? You don't have a definition to work by. You don't have anything. Right? Whereas in science, we deal with very rigorous definitions with verifiable information and data and evidence. Whereas you have nothing to show for that. So now you can no longer distinguish what's real from what's imaginary. Because you have no sense of guidance as to what the evidence is, or what evidence even means. Do you even know what evidence means? I don't think you do. It's not just a feeling or intuition, right? It's actual data that we can test. Get your opinion straight. Okay, straighten them up for me. Where am I going wrong? I mean, the best way to debunk me is to give me evidence of God. That's the best way to destroy me is give me evidence. And I would happily accept evidence. That's the funny thing. You can't destroy me because I'm open to anything. You can't destroy me. Give me evidence. I'd happily take a look at it. But you don't have any evidence. I don't think you know what evidence even means. You literally just said evolution's a fact. Yeah, because we can demonstrate evolution to you in a lab. We've done it in labs. We can look at our DNA. So just because you don't understand biology doesn't mean that evolution is not a fact. This is arrogance. This is exactly what I was trying to warn you people about. This person doesn't understand basic science, and now they're going to pretend as if evolution's not a fact because of their twisted interpretation of science, their twisted interpretation of the world. They can no longer know what's real from what's imaginary. DNA is a chemical process that happens in our DNA. We can observe it. We can look at the genetic fuses that happen. We can look at the chromosomes that fuse together. We can look at how the genes mutate in our DNA. It leaves a scar every time your DNA changes. Every time your genes mutate, it leaves a little mark in your DNA that we can trace back millions of years, and it all corroborates. Let alone the fossils. Like we don't even need fossils to prove evolution to you. You just need DNA. But we have the fossils, we have DNA, we have laboratory experiments where we have actually observed speciation in real time. And just because you don't understand basic 5th grade science doesn't mean that we're all wrong. I think it means you have to go back to the drawing board and go learn something because you're awfully mistaken, you're awfully illiterate. Why do you care so much? Why don't you care so much? Why don't you care about what's true? How can you look at this amazing universe, this mind-boggling universe, and go, yeah, I don't care about it. I don't care what's true. I just want to believe in God and be happy. That doesn't make sense to me. I want to know what's real. I want to know what happens in a black hole. I want to travel the universe. I want to go and see what happens in a neutron star. I want to go and see what happens in nebula clouds. I want to find aliens out there. Maybe there's other aliens. I want to understand what string theory is about. I want to understand how physics works and how the laws of nature got the way they are. I want to know what happened before the Big Bang, what the Big Bang was. So if you care about these big questions, you have to care about the evidence. You have to care about these questions. You have to care about the truth. So it's like, how can you not care? Because I live in a world where 90% of people around me believe. So if everybody around me tells me that I believe, I'm smothered in all these people telling me that Jesus loves me and blah, 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 and I'm going to force you to have a baby because I believe in magic. What do you expect me to do? Do you expect to just eat it all up and go, yeah, you're right? No, I'm never going to do that. I'm always going to speak up. I'm always going to express myself. I'm always going to correct people when they're wrong. And the facts win in the end. The facts will always win. I'm simply trying to show people that what you're doing is incorrect. If you care about the truth, you're going to care about whether or not God's real. And whether or not God's real is a factor of, is there evidence for it? If there's no evidence, you cannot say it's real. So do you have the evidence or not? Where's the evidence that no God created the universe? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there is no God. I just don't know what a God is. And I'm asking you for evidence of a God. That's the thing here. You guys don't realize. I'm not saying there is no God. I'm simply saying I don't believe in it because there's no evidence. Right? Do you believe in Santa Claus? I mean, if it's a no, then yeah. I'm never going to say, well, what's the evidence that there is no Santa Claus? No, it's like, no, I don't have any evidence of a Santa Claus. I don't believe in it. But if there was, if one day I woke up and I saw a reindeer floating on the roof and a guy with a big beard, magically putting gifts in a chimney, I would be like, yeah, that might be Santa. But there's no evidence of that, right? So the same with God, right? What's the evidence of God? Because if there is one, I want to know. I want to know the truth. And if you have it, give it to me. But if what you're going to give to me is, oh, it's in this book. Or, oh, he came to me in my dreams. That is nothing it's worthless. It's worthless. Because anybody can have a dream. Anybody can write a book. That's what determines evidence versus anecdote. Right? Evidence versus nonsense. Evidence is verifiable. It's data that we can grasp and test and experiment with to make sure that what we believe is actually true and corresponds to what's really happening in reality, versus something that I wrote in a book that anybody can do, or anybody can dream about this God and say, I talk to God in my dreams. That is not, that's not evidence-based to me. Evidence come within us. It's not a simple answer. It is a simple answer. And evidence does not come within you. Evidence comes from reality around us. There's a reality around us, right? It contains mystery. It contains things and objects. We're simply here observing it. We have two eyes, we have a brain, we have a mouth, we have these senses that can sense the world. And how we come to truth is we sense it, we gather the data, right? We take this data and we go, what explains the data? What explains the things we're seeing? So we come up with scientific theories. How does this work? Okay, it looks like this happens to the ear, and here's, okay, let's test this, right? Here's the theory, gravity. There's a force that the earth produces that makes things fall. Okay, that's called gravity. That's what Newton did. So we can test this. Yeah, you're right. Things fall at a specific rate, no matter where you are on the earth. That means there's some kind of force. Even in a vacuum, things fall at the same rate. There's some force that transcends the atmosphere, that transcends anything else that we know of. Let's call it gravity. Gravity. Bingo, you have a scientific theory. Congratulations. That's what a theory is in science. It's an explanation for something that really happens. So it's not just an experience you had. And sure, I'm not doubting that you had an experience, but what can you do with this experience that gets us closer to answers, gets us closer to this is real? That's what we care about. Anybody can have an experience, but how do you know that experience corresponds to something real and not just imagination? Agnostic means you don't believe nor disbelieve. No, that's what agnostic means. It means you withhold belief, or not belief, but you withhold knowledge of it. You don't know, you don't claim to know. But an atheist is someone who just doesn't believe. So you could be agnostic and atheist at the same time. They're called agnostic atheists, but it doesn't matter what it's called. The definitions are nonsense to me. They're useless. What matters is that you understand where I'm coming from. I don't know what a God is. I don't believe in one because there's no evidence of it. That's simple. You can label me whatever you want. You can label me agnostic, atheist. I don't care. But my position is that I don't know what God is. That word means I don't know. But if there's evidence of it, I want to know. So what's the evidence? It's that simple. What would evidence be for God? You tell me. I mean, you're the one that believes it, right? I mean, I don't know what the evidence would be. I mean, if you're claiming that God's all-powerful, then God, can you make, a $100 bill appear in my hand? Can God do that? I mean, God, can you make a $100 bill appear in my hand right now? I mean, what can we do that would defy our current knowledge, that gets us closer to something new? Right? What would that be? And that might be evidence. Can you do? Is there any experiment that can do this? Is there anything we can do? I'll take anything. I'll take anything that qualifies as evidence. Parallel evolution of soul and God concepts are evidence for substance. What does that even mean? Creator of the universe, evidence, the universe. So, yeah, this is a common thing that most theists do. They look around and say, well, this is all God's creation, therefore God. But look at what you're doing. You're just automatically assuming, you're presupposing God in the first place, right? I can do that with anything. I can presuppose Snuffleupagus made all this. Snuffleupagus monster is real. See, this is the point. You can't simply presuppose this is God's creation and then look around and say, oh, look, that's creation, therefore God exists. That's not how a theory works. That's not how explanations work. You have to have some kind of predictive power. You have to have some kind of ability to go from how does this work to now I know how it works, and be able to predict that. How could, for example, with gravity, I can predict that on Mars, gravity is something that would fall slower, right? I don't have to go to Mars to understand that things on that planet would fall slower. There would be a slower rate because gravity is less there. So that's the point here. What can you do to predict or understand things about or infer about the universe based on things that we can experiment with now? That's what a theory does. So why did you run from your debate? That was an hour-long debate. That was an hour-long debate, and I had to go. It wasn't very planned, number one. It wasn't a formal debate. But tell me, what did I run from? What was the evidence you had for God? Tell me. I mean, correct me. I will happily be wrong. You guys think I don't get upset when I'm wrong. I love being wrong because it means I'm learning something. So tell me, where am I wrong? I'll happily concede. But where's the evidence? Just tell us, right? Stop insulting and start giving the evidence. It's hard to type fast. Okay, then come on up and you can talk to me, Because he's just like, prove God. People believe in God because they fear hell. Yeah, that's one of the major reasons, for sure. It's easy for humans to be scared. we're all scared to some degree about something. I mean, reality can be scary sometimes, and the vastness of space can be scary, you know? So it's like, yeah, humans are very scared animals. Of course, we're going to be gullible in ways that makes us feel more comfortable, right? We are very willing to exchange comfort for delusion. So yeah, that's where hell kind of captures people. Yeah, the concept of hell kind of captures you into this little bubble of fear, and it takes time. It takes many years. For me, it took to get rid of that notion. Humans cannot prove his existence. Science can't even prove evolution. Oh, but we can. We can prove evolution too. Do you even know how evolution works? Do you even know what evolution is? It's not like Pokemon evolution. It's not like one day there's a Charmander, the next day there's a Charizard. That's not evolution. Vastly different than that. I think what's happening here is you have a very incorrect notion of evolution in your head that you've preconceived based on what people have been telling you about it and not what you've learned. Because if you actually learned about evolution, you'd realize that yes, you can't see it on a day-to-day basis on a large scale. I'm not going to change into a turtle tomorrow, right? But it happens on a very cellular level. It happens on a very small micro level that you need to understand biology for. So if you don't understand basic science, you're never going to understand evolution, and it's going to be easy for you to sit there and say, oh yeah, we can't prove evolution. But if you simply understood how it worked, that it is indeed a chemical process that happens in our DNA with different molecules, carbon chains, and nucleic acids and genes that can mutate and they can change and interact in certain ways chemically, then of course you're going to realize that evolution is a fact. So go learn it. You act as if science disproves God. No, I don't even know what God is. Science definitely debunks the stories of the Bible, but God is not it's not a thing. God is not even a thing. God's not even defined. So I cannot tell you what God is, neither can you. Nobody seems to know. We all throw the word around as if it means something, but nobody really knows. If I asked 100 people what God is, I'll get 100 different answers. Think about that. Have you ever studied the Bible? Yeah, I've studied enough of the Bible to realize that it's myth. It's mythology. Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, the flood, there's talking snakes, talking donkeys, turning your body into bread. It's utter mythology. Utter mythology. You should let people talk and be more civil in conversations. Okay, I do. When I debate on TikTok, I don't consider that like some kind of like thing I have to be perfect for everybody. No, on TikTok, this is my live. I can dictate how it goes. If you're gonna sit here on my live and ramble about or preach to us, which is what most theists like to do, I'm going to kick you off. I don't need to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. So you might see that as rude, but all you're doing is preaching. And to me, that's not, it's not very profitable. There's nothing there. Now, don't get me wrong, I can be very passionate. And I am a very passionate person when it comes to this stuff. Because I actually care about society. I care about our species. I care about the future. So of course I'm going to be passionate. Because when I look around and I see people on TikTok and around the internet spreading misinformation, that angers me. And it should anger you. It should anger all of us. That misinformation is becoming a plague around our society today, where people are happy, they're happy to not only spread misinformation, but to engulf it, like eat it up, as if it's somehow good. No, and misinformation is not good, because it's like a cancer. So to me, I want to get rid of the cancer as soon as possible. We live in an age of great misinformation. And my goal is to help people think critically in ways that enable them to understand what information is trustworthy, reliable, verifiable, versus information that's not, and information that's pseudoscience and nonsense. That is what I care about. Because I do not need to sit here and teach you about evolution. You can do that yourself. Anybody. We all have cell phones. We all have computers. We all have libraries. You can learn yourself. Okay? What I need to do, though, and what school doesn't do, is show you how to think, how to get to truth, how to critically think about things. That's where we're lacking. And that's what my job is. And that's what many scientists' jobs are. Brian Greene and Kaku and Neil Tyson and Carl Sagan. These people are the ones that are trying to make people think in ways that enable them to analyze information correctly. A scientific perspective of the world is very empowering. It helps you determine what's right from what's not right. So that's what people need more of, right? Because we live in a world where there's many problems, many issues. There's climate change and wars and famine and diseases and coronaviruses. I mean, look at the amount of issues that are getting more complex. Our technology is increasing, but so are the problems that come with it. They're getting faster. They're getting more complex. So who's going to solve these problems? Who's gonna solve climate change if nobody understands what climate change is? Who's gonna solve it if we can't even grasp the issues? We're not gonna solve them. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here because I care about what's true. I care about our future. I'm passionate about the universe. I'm passionate about life. Life is amazing, and I care about it. That's why I care about this stuff, So I know TikTok is great and it's a fun, entertaining app, but I don't know. To me, it's sad when I look around and people don't care about science. They don't care about scientists. Like, they all care about the actors and the musicians and the artists and the singers and the rappers, but scientists just don't have the same. Nobody really cares about discoveries made in science, or we tend to just throw them to the side as if they don't mean anything. They're just nerds, It's just sad to me that science is really more than just a body of facts. It's not just about things that you regurgitate in class for a test. Science is a way of thinking about the world in a way that is literally life-changing. I can't describe it, So that's what I want more of. Climate change all the time. See, this is exactly the issue. People don't understand. People say this all the time. Well, climate changes all the time. Indeed it does. But not at the rate we're experiencing today. the rate at which climate is changing is exponentially greater than any time in our natural past. The temperature of the Earth has risen about 1.2 degrees Celsius in the past 100 years. Nature took thousands of years, tens of thousands of years to get that same rate of change. The same rate of change. So, not the rate of change, the amount of change. So the point here is that every time you emit as a human being, or as a factory or as a car emits these greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, what it does is it acts like a blanket. When you put on a blanket at night, what happens? You get warmer. Why is that? Where's the heat coming from? Where's the heat? Why are you getting warmer when you put a blanket on? It's coming from your body. The heat is coming from your body. With the blanket on there, it's trapping the heat between you and your body. It's trapping the heat. It can't escape, right? Some of it escapes clearly, but most of it's not escaping. Well, if you take the blanket off, all the heat escapes, all the hot air escapes, and your body cools off, right? That's what's happening there. So if we take the same analogy to the Earth is like your body. But instead of the Earth producing its own heat, it's coming from the sun, right? So the sun shines down a radiation from its sun to the Earth. The Earth radiates some back, but some of it gets trapped. Some of it gets trapped like a blanket in the atmosphere. It gets trapped by what? Greenhouse gases. And these gases, the more you emit them, the more heat is being trapped in the atmosphere. So now the lower atmosphere is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. The more you emit these gases, the more blankets you put in the air, the more it's going to get hotter. So yeah, the climate changes all the time, but there are natural reasons for that, and then there are anthropocentric reasons for that. There are man-made reasons for that, and the man-made reasons overwhelmingly outweigh the natural reasons. And we can measure this. We actually can measure the type of CO2 that is emitted. It's a certain structure, molecular structure, that we know comes from humans. We can measure it, literally, how much CO2 we're emitting, how much of it is trapping heat, how much heat is being trapped. We have satellites that measure this. The evidence is overwhelming. We are causing climate change, period. We need to start doing something about it. So this is the problem, right? If we live in a world where people don't understand this, well, they think it's just a hoax, we're going to eventually go extinct. We're going to go extinct. It's happened in the past. It'll happen again. Do you think that humans are going to be here forever? I don't think so. It's our choice. It's our choice. We have a choice. We can survive or we can die. What causes us to die is when we're dumb, we're ignorant, we kill ourselves. Look at war. Look at all this stuff we're doing. Shootings and wars. We're killing ourselves. This is ignorance. This is the epitome of ignorance. The same thing with climate change. We're killing ourselves. Look at the oceans. Look how much trash there's in the oceans. Killing the animals. Look how much pollution we throw out in the atmosphere. This is ignorance. And if people don't understand this, it's never going to be solved. We're going to continue to this. We're going to continue destroying ourselves. We're all going to be extinct. And then no more humans. Do you want that? Do you want to go extinct? I don't know. Maybe you do want to go extinct. I don't. I don't. I think that although humanity is very sad, very ridiculous species, very dumb species, we also have a lot of potential. I mean, we have a lot of potential. We have the ability to go to space for the first time in Earth's history. There are a species that can go to space. For the first time in Earth's history, we are now at the point where we can go to space. That's amazing. That's amazing. No other species has ever been to space before. In fact, they couldn't even grasp what space was. But we can for the very first time. That's amazing. So to me, it's like, yeah, I want to continue this. I want to continue progression. I want to see what else is out there. I don't want this to end. You know? Space doesn't exist. Yeah, it's all CGI. Oh man, we're doomed. We're doomed. Okay. You believe everything they say? No. In science, we don't just believe what people say. That's what you do. In science, we don't just believe what people say. We can do science. We can experiment. We can do the experiments. Anybody can do science. I don't have to be a scientist to do science. I have done science. I've been to a lab. I've done science. I've done experiments. I know how it works. And once you know how it works, then the world becomes your playground. The world becomes a place where you can play and figure things out for yourself. That's the beautiful thing about science. Anybody can do it. If you're that skeptical about space, well, you can go figure it out. You can go get a telescope and look at it. You can go perhaps to space on a plane, right? You can go on a plane that can go to space. I mean, they're inner levels, but the point is that we can explore the world. And if you're that skeptical about it, then go learn more about it. That's the point. But don't just sit here and go, well, there's no space. Space doesn't. You just believe what the scientists say. Because that's an awful representation of what I actually do. That's a terrible representation of what science actually is. Also, you're just projecting here because you understand that what you believe is just based on what people say too. What you believe is based on what people say from 2,000 years ago. So you know that it's nonsense. So you're just projecting. So I see you believe in religion, but you, that's not, no we don't. You do. You're projecting. You are insecure. You can't go to space. LOL. Why isn't there any astronauts that aren't Freemasons? You think every single astronaut there's been thousands of astronauts. You think they're all Freemasons? No, they're not all Freemasons. And by the way, why does being a Freemason mean that you can't go to space? Oh, I'm a Freemason. That means I can't go to space. What? Makes no sense. This is comedy to me. How did the cycle of life start? Chemistry. Life is a chemical. Everything about your body, your heartbeat, it's electrochemical. Your brain, electrochemical. Your lungs, your organs, your skin, it's all just a clump of chemical processes, a system of chemical processes that are configured in a way that make you alive. Life is just a chemical process that is sustained. That's it. That's the only difference between life and non-life. Life is chemical molecules that can sustain themselves over time and replicate. That's it. There's nothing magical about life. There's nothing magical about a molecule of DNA. It's just a freaking molecule. It happens to be structured in a way that allows it to do certain things that we call life. That's it. So when you ask, well, where did life start? you have to realize what life is. It's just a chemical process. It happens with nucleic acids and amino acids when they come together in certain ways. And these amino acids, the building blocks of life, the molecules of life, they form in space naturally. They form all around the universe naturally. We have found amino acids in space rocks. We have found nucleic acids on space rocks too. So we know that life can form naturally all over the universe. There is no magic involved at all. Life just pops into existence. I didn't say that. Did you hear what I just said? Life evolved naturally due to chemical processes. But it's funny because you actually believe that life popped into existence. You actually believe that. You believe that one day there is this magic man that said, "Let there be light," and poof, we just magically appeared here from nothing. That's what you believe. That's what you believe. That's what you believe. That's what you believe. That's not what I believe. So it's funny how you guys project. You're just projecting. That's all you're doing. Is it natural to want to eat red meat? It's not natural to want to eat anything. We have certain affinities, we have certain tastes and taste buds, sure, but red meat, meat doesn't taste anything. You can't taste protein. Protein doesn't taste anything to you. What you're really tasting there is the salt and the preservatives in meat. That's what you're really tasting there. You're when you bite into a burger, what you're really tasting is the ketchup, the lettuce, the salt, the pepper, the mustard, whatever you put in your burger, right? You're not tasting the meat itself, because the meat itself doesn't taste like anything. Or if it does, I mean, we don't have taste buds that can sense meat or protein, but we do have carbohydrates. We do have carbohydrate sensing senses in our tongues, taste buds. We can taste sugars very well. We can taste types of sugars, types of carbs. We can taste all kinds of salts and things like that, and herbs. And so what that tells me is that if anything, we didn't evolve to eat meat. We evolved to eat plant-based foods. But it doesn't matter though. What matters is that we don't have to, right? The reason why I'm vegan, it's not because I don't like the way meat tastes, but because I like the way meat tastes. I love seafood. I think seafood tastes good, but the reason why I'm vegan is not because I don't like the taste. It's because I don't like the abuse. I don't like the torture that the animals go through. It's not necessary. It's not like look at what your food comes from. Your food comes from animals, right? These animals that didn't want to die. They don't have to die. So why even do it? Meat is gross. It is, yeah, it is. It is gross when you realize what it is. It is. I've lost I used to love ice cream. I used to love ice cream. But now it's like I would never eat ice cream. To me, it's like knowing what it is, and yeah, your taste buds change. Your taste buds really do change when you get rid of those things. Do you see yourself getting married and having kids? Kids for sure, yeah. I definitely want kids. Marriage to me is dumb. I think marriage is a waste of time. I don't need a piece of paper or a contract to love somebody. And I don't have to love one person. I can love multiple people at one time. I don't have to love one person forever. I mean, you look at the divorce rates around America, it's like 50 to 60%. Nobody's happy. Very few people are very happy in their marriages. Now, I'm not saying that marriage is bad for everybody. But to me, it's like, marriage does not seem like something I want to do, because it's not, it's more, it's, what's the word for it? It's fake. It's fake to me. Your worldview is askew. You are very close-minded. Okay, then open it up. What's the evidence for God? My mind doesn't open with nonsense. My mind opens when you have evidence. So what's the evidence? What is ice cream really? You don't want to know. It's disgusting. Marriage is practical for having a family. No, you can have a family yet not be married just fine. Marriage is a financial contract. Yeah, well, marriage has roots in basically slavery. I mean, the ancients used to think that women were lesser than men, and basically they would treat women as their property. So really, marriage is literally that's why the male takes the female. That's why the female takes the male name, because it's like, oh, she's my property now. I get to buy her. It's a financial contract. Where now she can never have relationships with somebody else. That's pathetic to me. It's pathetic. It's really pathetic. My mom told me it's cow mucus. Well, yes, in milk there's mucus, there's blood, there's pus, there's infection, disease, viruses, and bacteria in milk. So we have to pasteurize it. We have to try to take all that stuff out, but some remains. Some of it still, you eat some of it still. So, yes, cow milk is really disgusting. Plus, it's full of fat that clogs up your arteries. And you're also promoting more cows to be killed and abused in factory farms. It's a lose-lose. Lose-lose. Beta male. Really? So you think marriage, you think when you force a woman, you're probably against abortion too, are you? You want to force a woman to give birth, you want to force them to be married, to give their name. You think that's a strong thing to do. It's ridiculous. What was the hardest part about turning vegan? It's hard to live in a world where it's normal to abuse cows and pigs and chickens. That's the hardest part. That it's not hard to become a vegan. What's hard is dealing with the aftermath of living in a world where nobody even cares. Nobody even recognizes the issues. Nobody really seems to understand how we treat animals. That's the hardest part. People's ignorance. That's the hardest part. It's extremely easy to go vegan. I turned vegan one day. One video. It took me one video. I looked at a factory farm video where a cow was being hung. The cow was being hung and it was being chopped up alive. Well, they hit it, they stung it, they shot it in the head, but then they hung it up and the cow was kicking while it was alive. And after that video, I shut it off and I was just like, I can't support this. I can't. That was just hard for me. It's the way of life. It's not a way of life. You think that's a good way of life? To abuse billions of cows around the world every day? You think that's a good life to live? You think that's what the cows want? No, I think the cows just want to be free like you and me. You know, in America, we all say we love our freedom. Freedom, we love our freedom. Yet you take away the freedom from billions of animals every year. Why? Why are you so hypocritical? You spout your love for freedom, but you take it away from others. The ones who have no voice, they literally don't have a voice. And you're just taking advantage of them, all because you like the way their body tastes, their flesh tastes. To me, that's pathetic. It's not justifiable to me at all. Animals do that to others, but they don't have a choice. We do. In nature, right? Animals they don't have a choice. They have to eat what they can to survive, but we don't. We have grocery stores. We can go to the supermarkets. We can go to the grocery store and buy a plant-based option. So if we have the power to do that, we have the responsibility. It's that simple. It's that simple. The moment a lion can go to a grocery store and buy food, then I'm like, yeah, you guys should stop doing that. You should stop killing deer and antelope. But they can't. They can't go to grocery stores. The reality is, animals cannot go to grocery stores. They cannot buy food. They have to do what they can in nature to survive. We don't. Mike is so self-absorbed he can't read the comments. Really. So I'm self-absorbed, the one who is being selfless in withholding from eating bodily flesh in order to make the animals more free and better and have better well-being. The one who is here on TikTok talking about big issues of the world to try to maybe help people, that is self-absorbed. But you, the one who believes in a magic man that's going to come and save them, that you're going to be rewarded in an afterlife, all because you praised this magic wizard, the one who steals bodies of animals just to taste, just to get 15 minutes of taste, of pleasuring of the taste buds. You're willing to take the life away of an animal, the entire life away, for 15 minutes of taste. And you're not self-absorbed? I think you have it mixed up here, my friend. I think you have it mixed up. A cow doesn't care about your feelings, though, so why would you? Okay, good point. I don't care about the feelings of somebody across the world, in China, for example. I don't care about them, but I still don't want to murder them. Why not? Because I value people. I value things that are sentient. I don't care about you, frankly, about what you do in your life, but I care about you enough. I have enough care that I'm not going to murder somebody. I'm not going to kill somebody. Right? Even though I don't know you, even though the cows don't know me, they don't care about me either. I don't care about them. I don't even care about the cows and their feelings. But what I care about is that they should have freedom. Just like you should have freedoms. We're sentient. We don't want to be dead. We don't want to be killed and abused, right? We want to be free. We all want to be free. So why would you not allow them to be free? That's the wrong part. Okay. What about killing animals by displacing them from veggie farms also creates climate change? Killing animals by displacing them from veggie farms. Yeah, I'm against killing animals. I mean, but veganic farming is vastly more efficient, right? Animal farming requires so much more land. In fact, most of the Amazon rainforest is being destroyed in virtue of animal farming. So not only is there a lot of land and trees that have to be cut down for the animals, but we also have a lot of water usage. I mean, the animals that we kill have to eat food. They also have to drink water, right? So all this water has to be imported and transported, and so does all the food that we have. In fact, most of the crops we grow around the world goes to the animals, not us. Most of the crops we grow in the world goes to the animals as food. They also go to fuel, ethanol. But a lot of the food we grow goes to the animals, not us. So if we stopped farming the animals, think of how much more land we would have. Think of how much more water we would have. Think of how much more food would we have if we stopped eating the animals. If we simply stopped farming the animals, think of how much more we would have. And there's been studies on this. This isn't my opinion. This has been scientifically researched. There are several studies that show that if we stopped animal farming, we would have more food to feed millions of more people. In fact, we might even solve the starvation crisis. We might solve world hunger if we went vegan. Like, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for everybody. So, there's no argument against veganism. You have no argument against it. You have no argument. The only argument you have is, well, it tastes good. It tastes good. That's all you got. And that to me is useless. It's worthless. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go soon, so I got maybe 2 minutes to answer your questions before I go. Who else? Who is enjoying the live today? I'll look at that Cosmos book in the background. So I actually ordered. So I have a couple Michio Kaku books there too, but I actually ordered Cosmos from Carl Sagan. I also ordered Fabric of Cosmos from Brian Greene. So we got some more books coming along where I'm gonna maybe do some readings on live and read the books to you. But yeah, this is this, like, looking at this book is just amazing to me. This is a real photo from things out there in space that really are. It's art. Nature is art, right? So in science, it's not just about facts. It's also about art. Science is very poetic. Science is very beautiful and inspiring. So people need to look at science as if it's a thing that inspires them, as it does to me. So the challenge is how do we tell this? How do we show this to people? I'm trying to, All we can do is try. What do you think of Elon Musk is doing to Twitter? I don't care. I don't care, people. I have more things to worry about than that. I think it doesn't matter. I don't know why he bought it. I don't care. To me, it wasn't the smartest decision to make, to buy a Twitter. I don't know. But I don't care what he's doing. To me, there's more important issues. Okay. My hair looks weird now. Okay, let me make it better. I watched the Cosmos series. Yeah, Cosmos. I love Cosmos. It's the best. You know? Because Carl Sagan, he knew how to really not only grab your attention, but also make you feel something when you watch Cosmos. When you learn about reality, you feel something that is indescribable. And that's what I was trying to tell you guys before, that science is not just a body of facts. It's also a way of viewing the world. It's an entirely new way of viewing the world that is for the better, that empowers you, that allows you to value life more. I value life more than ever before because of science, because of my scientific perspective, because of Carl Sagan and people like that. So, and I feel like I'm a better person for it. So, I mean, just take a look at the pale blue dot. I mean, that alone is enough to make a change. Neil Tyson is an actor. Brian Greene isn't vegan, but he is. Brian Greene is vegan. He is. Brian Greene is a vegan. That's just another reason why. And even though Carl Sagan was not a vegan, he was in the 1970s and 1980s still, even when a time when even vegetarianism was very weird, very rare, he still recognized that animals are more than just objects. Carl Sagan is known for at least recognizing the problem, that the way we treat the animals, and that the animals should not be treated like we do now. He was very against. He wasn't vegan, so I can't say he was perfect, but he was at least recognizing the issue. I don't know what he ate. I don't know if maybe he was a vegan, maybe, but I don't know for sure. But I will say that at least recognizing the problem is better than someone who ignores it. What's your favorite thing about space? I think my favorite thing is that, well, I can sit here and talk about all amazing facts about black holes and stars and, beautiful nebula clouds out there and star nurseries and supernova explosions, hypernova. But what's even more fascinating to me is that we don't really know what space is. I mean, we live in it. We deal with it every day. We can't escape it, but we don't know what it is. We still don't know the fundamental underpinnings of space. We don't know. We don't know what it is. Is it a substance? We don't know. Now, if we look in space, if we actually look deeper into what space is, with quantum mechanics, we can actually see that space is made of things. There's actually things vibrating in space. In fact, there's a lot of energy in space. Space isn't just empty. There's a lot of things happening in space that we can see and observe. There's lots of fields vibrating, energy fields. And the question is, okay, well, what is deeper than that? What actually makes those things happen. And what is it? Can it bend? Can it warp? So another one is time. What is time? We know that space and time are essentially the same things. I mean, think about that. Space is the same thing as time. So it's like these things that we to us, they feel very intuitive for us because we deal with it every day. We just ignore it. But it's the most mysterious thing. That is the most amazing fact to me. It's not the fact, it's the mystery of space that's fascinating to me. I love mystery. Mike is so grounding. Whatever that means. But again, I'm open to any kind of thing you believe in as long as there's evidence. I'm open to anything. That's something I'll never take for granted. The fact that I'm no longer attached to any idea or concept. I'm open to anything as long as there's evidence. So if you believe in spirituality, if you believe in God, great. Where's the evidence of that? I want to know. If there is this, one thing I would love to be true is quantum immortality. That would be awesome. I would love for there to be a life where we go after this one. We travel. That would be awesome. I would love it, but there's no evidence of that. So even a very real thing like quantum immortality, which can be real, potentially real, there's no evidence. So I'm going to withhold belief. I don't know. I don't have enough evidence to say that this is the case. So that's how I operate. I don't just believe because I want to. I believe because there's evidence. Some of us don't want to live forever. Yeah. That's another question. I mean, if we live forever, why would you want? Maybe not everybody wants to live forever. Maybe some people just want it to end at some point. Would it get boring? I mean, if there is an afterlife, would it get boring after a while? I mean, I would think after maybe a few billion years, it might get boring. So these questions are fun to think about, but they don't really do anything because maybe they're the wrong questions to ask. Maybe there is no such thing as an afterlife. Maybe there is no such thing as maybe even eternity or infinity. We don't know. But on that note, I gotta go. But keep thinking and keep learning, and also drink water because water is important for you to stay hydrated with. Get exercise and eat healthy. Okay, guys. Well, I gotta go. It's the last minute you're gonna say I have evidence. Great. The last minute you're gonna say I have evidence for God. They had the whole life to say it. Hurry up, you got my attention. Say it one more time before I go. Please, hurry up. Okay, so general relativity and quantum mechanics. Ugh. Come on, dude, just say the evidence, please. We can't unify general relativity and quantum mechanics. Therefore God? Oh my god. Is this your argument? We don't know about science, therefore God. Is that your argument, really? You're making me wait for this? First of all, that's not entirely true. We do have proposals that unifies relativity and quantum mechanics. But relativity is not completely true. There are things about relativity that are just incorrect. So we'll never be able to unify that. We'll never be able to unify it because it's not a correct theory. The best theory we have, the best proposal we have for the fundamental nature of reality is not God. It's likely string theory, or it's within quantum mechanics. That's the best bet we have. That's the best we got. The best scientific understanding we have of reality today is in quantum mechanics, hands down. So you're going to have to use that to actually get somewhere. If you're not using quantum mechanics, you're likely not relevant in terms of finding evidence for God. So, well, I gotta go. Peace out.